But I'll just go ahead and save with Miss Pandaria, just to get it all out there. It's a huge improvement on the animations and graphics from back when I played in vanilla. Keep in mind, I did not play any of the expansion packs. I haven't seen much more than videos of anything, even Cataclysm. I hear a lot from Mike all the time because he's played it for so many years, pretty much nonstop. It was really weird to experience it myself, going from the old version of the game, because the controls felt smoother, the interface felt smoother, everything streamlined so much more. I'm not running around to different people to get my skills upgraded. Everything just happened so fast. And at one point, I have to say I like that because there's no more busy work. I'm not playing Link anymore, going on fetch quest. I'm doing things that seem to matter. And on the other hand, it kind of makes me feel like I'm almost moving too fast. Like there's stuff that I'm missing, that there's tutorials that I should be learning or something. And that's another thing I have to mention. I was playing an orc simply because I wanted to see how much things have changed. I played a gnome, an orc, and a Tauren back in the day. I believe it was a warrior, a warlock, and a hunter, whatever that word is. So I'm playing the Orc Warrior again, largely because I wanted to see how much it changed from back then. And it had changed enough, but compared to the other two I played, I rolled up a panda and as a hunter, because hunter's what I enjoyed last time. Hunter, I'm still enjoying it, especially since they start you right off the bat with a pet. I love pets. I can't help it. I love pet classes. That's why my top MMO is probably City of Heroes, sister project, City of Villains. If anybody knows what the Mastermind is, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Pets. So the difference between the old classes and stories and races and the new, I also rolled up Worgen Shaman, and the story difference, when I played Worgen, at that whole invasion thing, you'll probably see some video of that, it was such a story-based element, whereas the Orc, it just felt old school. It felt like the older MMOs, and the differences between them were so night and day, no pun intended. And really the Pandarian was much like the older games, the older quests, because it was much of the same thing. It's just, you could tell there was a lot more work put in the art direction. You could just feel how the developer has grown and understood what they can and can't do with the engine at this point. I'm still not addicted to WoW. I'm still not a big WoW fan, but I'm really amazed with what they've been able to continue doing after all these years. And even the Orc, I did not exactly have a bad time with it. I don't remember a character class ever being so slow. I swear, it's probably the slowest attack of a fighting class in any video game I've ever played.
Yeah, I had that issue too.
Fury, the more skills you get, the more attacks you're going to have. That's just the way it goes. The Shaman started out the same way, where all you're doing is clonking people with the stick, basically. But eventually you get your fireballs, you get your holy zapper thingy. Oh boy, I can feel the WoW people looking at me. Why don't you know what the names of these things are? You're typing it. You're typing it now. I'm
Great
sorry, guys.
Exactly.
Tell me what you think. Not really.
Correct, Chris.
New segment.
I'll let you guys do it. I won't do it. All right. Well, is there any final thoughts on that you want to expound upon before I go into my WoW tirade?
No, actually, I think I talked a little more than I expected to.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot there. There is. Just real quick on the warrior. Right now, you have to be in a group with somebody to enter even old raids that you can clear by yourself. They've actually said that they're going to make it, they said possibly as soon as the next major content patch, which would be 5.1, so that you don't have to be in a group to enter a raid anymore. You can just go into a raid and do what you need to do and then get out. And you don't have to pester friends or anything and be like, hey, I need you in a group real quick and I'm going to make it so you can't complete quests. Because that's another thing. I know that you didn't get to notice that because you never got up to that level. But when you're in a raid group, you cannot complete normal quest objectives. No quest that is not specifically tied to a raid can be done. And it's to prevent you from ganging up with like 20 different people and then just blowing through the game super fast.
Yeah, I can see
so
that.
it's kind of irritating. I hate having to ask people to stop what they're doing, help me out for a second. But anyways, so what I was going to do was create one of those free-to-play level 20s accounts, but you have to be level 10 before you can be invited to a group. So I wanted to get up to level 10 and do the free-to-play, and I was going to use my own character from a separate account and invite that character, and then make a raid group, and then just log that character out after the raid group, and then I could go in. But it's what most people do. Mm-hmm. And I chose an undead warrior. Well, it's not max level anymore, but at the time, I had a max level warrior, and I had so much fun on that. But I'm telling you, this little undead warrior, I couldn't stand it. I don't know what it is that I hated it. It's just slow, like you said.
Yeah.
And I died so much. I died a lot. Like level 5 maybe, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I just stopped.
That must have been pretty rough, because I was going to say, because you think that a warrior, being kind of the tank of the character classes, that it would at least be able to take damage pretty well. So.
Well, my issue was that I'm used to being powerful, so I would take on more than I'm supposed to at that level. I had the same problem on my Panda Monk. I died a couple times leveling it past that, first initial 10 or 11 levels. I died a couple times. A lot of that, I think, was because enemies were respawning so fast. Like, I would kill one, and before I even had a chance to loot it, a respawn would be standing right in front of me.
That's probably what killed me in my earlier days. I could not stand how often that happened, and with my lag, they could already get a couple of hits in before I could even know that they were there.
Well, a lot of it right now that's going on is because there's so many people that are coming back and rolling pandas.
I'm actually kind of surprised of how well they got the servers going. I mean, it was down maybe a day for the most part, and everything was pretty much back to normal, because I was on day 2, and the servers were relatively quiet, and everything played just fine. It was crazy. I was expecting the whole week to be fraught with downtime.
I think there were a few servers, I think, that had problems. I don't remember specifically what those problems. They were minor things, like mount vendors not being there on both the Horde and the Alliance side. Like for the new Pandaren mounts, everybody wanted one because they're dragon turtles, and people couldn't buy them because the mount vendor never spawned. So they ended up hotfixing that. It was there. I didn't have that issue on my server, so I can't speak specifically to it, but I know it was hotfixed. I know last week I said I couldn't decide what I was going to do first. I ended up deciding to level my priest. I got maybe 5 or 6 quests in, and the game dropped me, is the best way I know to put it. Certain areas have phasing, so that if you're on a specific part of a quest line, you see it one way, but a person earlier sees it a different way. That's so that they can alter the game for you in real time and show you, hey, you doing stuff is actually affecting the game world.
I like it.
And I do too. It was really neat technology when they first put it in, which was in Wrath of the Lich King, I believe. That was the first time they used it. For I think the biggest instance of it was for the Wrathgate. Anyways, I completed part of a quest line where there was phasing involved, and I moved on to the next quest, and I was supposed to go and attack mobs that were standing around that same area. I couldn't find any. Not only that, I couldn't find any players. In fact, the only two anything that I could find were the people that gave me the quest. That there were 2 NPCs that you pick up quests from at that point, and those were the only 2 NPCs in the game for me at that time.
And obviously no way to get out of it either.
Yeah, there wasn't a way. There is a way, but I didn't. After it happened, it took them about 2 or 3 hours to get back with me, so I already had my monk out of the panda starting zone. I was just determined. I was like, I'm going to get this monk up to 90, and that's going to be my new main. This was a sign. But anyway, the fix for it ended up being that if you queue for a battleground and then leave the battleground once you get in it, it phases you back into, normal. So I ended up back in Orgrimmar, and there were no NPCs there either, just Garrosh. And once I got into the battleground and left the battleground, came back, everything was normal. I didn't go back and finish any of that stuff, but I did get my priest out of limbo. I've been playing the monk, and I gotta say, it's a lot of fun, and I feel incredibly overpowered compared to, well, pretty much any class that I've ever leveled.
Well, this is kind of a serious staple. Every time they come out with a new character class, generally it's a little more powerful than it's supposed to be, and they draw it back. Because I remember the Death Knights were specifically really considered overpowered when they first came out, too. I don't know so much about the ones they brought out in Cataclysm.
The Death Knights were intended to be powerful, but they were so powerful that it was kind of game-breaking. Mm-hmm. And that was not intended. But since they were the first hero class, and they wanted them to be special, but they wanted to make them special through, their quest chain starting at level 55 instead of 1. And some of their abilities, like Death Grip, is a really, really nice move. I like it.
I've heard some stories about that.
Well, I play a priest, and we have one. Well, it's called Leap of Faith. We all call it Life Grip. And when it was first implemented, you pulled people to you, friendly players that were in your party. You could pull them to you, and they stopped in front of you. So myself, and probably many, many, many other priests, our favorite thing to do was stand on a ledge over a pit and life grip somebody. We'd be running a dungeon with our friends. I didn't do it to people I didn't know. I only did it to guildmates and, people that I knew from playing the game.
Who could take the joke.
Yeah, exactly. And we would just kill people. And in fact, there was, when Dragon Soul came out, which was the last raid in the expansion, there's this segment in the very last boss where you hop across platforms. For a long time, at the beginning, probably the first month and a half or so, maybe not that long. It feels like it was a long time because I did it so much, but for that first part of the raid, you could actually be in the air hopping over the thing, because you get a buff that pushes you onto the next island. You could be in the middle of the two islands and life grip somebody, and they wouldn't get the buff, so they would fall and die. And I was running with another priest, and we had life grip fights all the time. And he could never kill me, but I always got him. But that's not exactly panda related, it's just anecdotal, and it was fun. I really, really like the monk. I didn't think I was going to like it, largely because I've been a priest my entire WoW career, just about. And I was afraid to roll another healer. So I did it anyway. I rolled the monk, like I said, because my priest got stuck in limbo. And you have to stick with it. It's not fun immediately. It's a lot like the warrior. Well, it's better than the warrior. But leveling the monk, if you're going healer, you have one healing spell. If you pick the Mistweaver, which is the healer, then you get a channeled healing spell that heals once every second for a medium amount. You use that spell to heal with, and that spell alone for the next, I think I was level 20, it was either 18 or 22. So those first few levels in dungeons were boring. Because I had one spell, and it was channeled, and the channel lasts like 8 seconds. So I pressed a button once every 8 seconds. Wow. It was boring. But stick with it because it gets so much fun. I'm level 70. I hit level 70 just before we started recording, and my bars are as full as my level 85 priest. And I didn't think I was ever going to play another healing class that had as many spells as a priest, because priests have so many spells, it's ridiculous. I really enjoy healing on my monk. It's so much fun. I really can't wait to start raiding with it. It's going to be my raiding character, and my priest will be my alt, which is the first time ever. So
this is basically just part one of this conversation. You're going to be coming back for quite a few episodes, giving us updates, I have a feeling.
I probably will. As long as you're willing to hear them, I'll keep telling you about them.
Speaking of which, poor Grover over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just keeping quiet. Final Fantasy is my game. I did play at one point. I started when it came out, I bought it, and like I said, I couldn't play for a week. I think I played it for a month, and it was Mike that, well, not just Mike. Mike and a couple of my friends said, hey, play Final Fantasy Online, you'll love it. And after the torturous install that you have to do to get Final Fantasy working, yeah, it was a blast. And that was that for World of Warcraft for like 2 years. And I quit playing Final Fantasy Online. And I think Burning Crusade was out when I came back. And I played that until the Wrath of the Lich King came out. And that's when I quit. And I got I think I played Hunter to level 60.
You didn't really get to see much of the new content, did you?
No.
Yeah, it gets a lot better.
That's what I heard.
What made you quit? Just because the expansion came out and you didn't want to shove out the extra money for it?
No, that wasn't it. I actually bought the expansion and then I quit anyway.